Hey guys, GhazzyTV here with another Path of Exile video, and in this one, I'm going to give you a TLDR recap of the Animate Guardian. And this is very important to understand when you're playing minion builds because of the vast amount of power the Animate Guardian can provide the majority of minion builds in the game. This is why we have a full in-depth written guide for how the Animate Guardian works linked in the descriptions below. Now, it's very important to understand a couple of key features with the Animate Guardian because once an Animate Guardian dies, or as known AG, when it dies, it will lose all of its gear. This is the main reason most people don't use the Animate Guardian, simply because you're risking to lose your character's gear and therefore losing a lot of currency to re-gear him. This can be very frustrating, but this video is here to serve as a informational context or a guide, if you will, to help you understand how to make sure he doesn't die. The all-time record on subscriptions for this stream. And it wouldn't surprise me. No, you gotta be fucking... So in the written guide hub, as listed in the descriptions below, in here you'll find tons of build guides. You'll find some of the not updated build guides, as well as crafting guides. Also, on top of this, a bunch of other guides included. This guide hub is updated every league before the league launches. And in here, you'll find the Animate Guardian guide. In here, you'll see an in-depth description of the mechanic of how it works, which I will not tackle in this video. Rather, I would recommend that you watch this one to understand the in-depth mechanics of the Animate Guardian, and instead give you a TLDR in this video. Basically, in here, you'll also find some gear suggestions of what to use and how to gear him, and the most recommended low-budget approach, which I am currently using in-game right now, is a low-budget AG with a Dying Breath and a Leer Cast and a Gruthkul's Pelt chest piece. This one right here, which is what I prefer to use. This allows my Animate Guardian to provide myself with a Dying Breath aura, as well as a damage aura, which provides my minions and myself with a 68% increased damage dealt. Now, my Animate Guardian is also using a pair of windscreen boots, which provides him with the possibility of applying an additional curse. Outside of an additional curse, I'm also using a pair of gloves that are corrupted with an extra curse on it. So these gloves are absolutely crazy for a build like this, which is the Pure Spectre build. The guide for this is listed in the guide page up here as well. However, the TLDR version of the Animate Guardian is to understand how to keep him alive. Now, what I would recommend is waiting till your Animate Guardian is level 20 or level 19. And I'm talking about the level of the gem, not with your gear. In case of this character's gearing, my Animate Guardian is level 24 right now. That means that I can use the Animate Guardian quite comfortably. And with my current gear that is not scaling a lot of minion life, my Animate Guardian without gear equipped, the tooltip HP is displaying 53,000 life. Now, obviously, with a bit lower gear scaling, say that we bring it down even further and bring him down to level 22, then his HP would be as low as 42,000. This is a lot of HP, you might think, but that doesn't always cover him. So what's really cool with this guide is that in the Animate Guardian guide, we're promoting the use of Gruthkul's Pelt. Now, why Gruthkul's Pelt is so good is simply because of the fact that it provides the minion with 10% of his life regenerated per second. This is a massive amount of regen for the HP to be sustained when he's taking damage. However, to make sure that he doesn't take too much damage, we're going to make sure that he is capped in elemental resistances. Most of the minion builds, they are necromancers, and they're playing with the ascendancy node Commander of Darkness. This provides you and your nearby allies with 30% increased elemental resistances. And to check how much resistances your minions have, you can use the PoEDB website or just listen to this video. Most of the minions that we have in this game, such as zombies, skeletons, specters in some cases, but not all because they're very different, but Animate Guardian and those type of minions, they have a baseline resistance of 40% elemental res and 20% chaos. So it's a 40, 40, 40, 20. This means that with the cap of elemental res being at 75, we're going to make sure that it gets to that point. Commander of Darkness provides 30. This means that they're sitting on 70% elemental resistances, and we'd like to have an additional 5%. This is why the majority of my minion builds, they are all using a Bone Ring. Now, Bone Ring's implicit gives 15% elemental res as the max roll. You need this as a bottom roll to make sure they're capped. If you want to take it a step further, you could spec into a minion defensive mastery, providing additional 8% to all elemental resistances, and if you do, it's still enough with the Commander Darkness to use a Bone Ring, but the Bone Ring needs to be rolled at 13% or higher to make sure that the minions are actually capped at 83% rest at that point. This is a massive defensive layer. The other portion of what I would recommend using Animate Guardian when it comes to keeping him alive is Convocation. This is why I never, and I repeat, never, ever use Convocation on left click. I always have it on a separate keybind, because if I see a bunch of bearers existing on the on the ground, or if I pop a strong box and it's about to explode, it says nearby corpses are exploded, I will then be able to step away and use my Convocation to teleport my minions to me. It's very important to understand the flow of this. Normally, it's more than fine to have him tank these things, but if you're doing maps like I've been farming lately on stream, which is Crimson Temple, there's some areas that is really packed, and if you open a box in those areas, all of the enemies and corpses will then be stacked on top of each other, which means that the Animate Garden actually runs a higher risk of dying. Another thing that can help with minion survivability is obviously using Bone Offering, which the vast majority of minion builds in the lower budget are using in this state of the game, providing him with a ton of extra block chance, which will further increase his defensive layers. But most importantly, it's all about making sure that he is Resistance Cat, which you can sort with the Commander Darkness Descendancy, as well as a Bone Ring, and then the Chaos Rest is the next point of this. Now, the problem is if you're using something like a Flesh Crafter, that will convert his maximum HP based on his Chaos Resistance. You cannot give an Animate Guardian Chaos Rest if you're wearing that, and that is mostly for the Mage Skeleton builds. For any other minion build, you can use as much Chaos Resistance as you can find on the gear pieces you put on him. Now, obviously, we're using a unique Helmet Learcast, we're using a unique weapon Dying Breath, and in higher budget, you can even go for Kingmaker or Crown of the Tyrant, which my written guide in the link to the descriptions below will tell you. The boots can be a rare pair of boots with a lot of Chaos Rest and HP, or even Life Regen. You can have the same thing on the gloves. There's a few other quirks which is tackled in the Animate Guardian guide, such as cursing with the actual sake of the Animate Guardian. That is what I'm using in-game right now. So what I have in-game is a pair of Windscreen boots, and the Windscreen boots provide the minion with one extra curse. This allows my Animate Guardian to apply 2 curses. He is only going to apply 1 curse. And I am only applying 1 curse, but I am only able to apply 1 curse. But since the Animate Guardian can apply 2, he will in this version, or this mechanic, apply the 2nd curse, making him able to apply 1 curse on top of my curse without them overriding each other. So that is in my current build, I'm using Elemental Weakness Corrupted Gloves. And you can search for them on trade by going to pathofexile.com/trade, in which you can search like this and say implicit and then elemental weakness, for example, and do it like this. By searching for these, you'll see that you can purchase these gloves very cheaply on the market for 3 chaos here. You can find some of these from the Embalmer gloves, for example, that give some chaos resistance and whatnot, and give him some extra defensive layers, and they cost almost nothing. And to enable this, you're simply using the Windscreen boots on him. However, do keep in mind that not all of these gloves will have HP, not all of them will have chaos resistance, some of them do. So you definitely want to keep an eye out on that. But understanding the resistances on the Animate Guardian and utilizing the Convocation skill is the 2 key factors on keeping your Animate Guardian alive. And keep in mind that even a curse AG like this, the most expensive item for the AG that I'm running in my high budget build right now is the Gruthkul's Pelt. And even that isn't too bad. The Gruthkul's Pelt in the current state at the time of this recording is going for about 30 chaos. And that is what is mainly keeping him alive with an extra massive amount of regen. You could use something like a Doppelganger as well, which is sometimes is very expensive and sometimes very cheap. Currently, they are going for a bit more than the Gruthkul, so I would definitely recommend going for the Gruthkul's Pelt myself. So with that stated, that's the TLDR for keeping Animate Guardian alive, so make sure that you're feeling more comfortable with utilizing him in your army. I hope this video served as to help at least some of you guys out there. And if it did, make sure you leave a comment down below. And check out the written guide for all of this information, but more in-depth in the written guide and the video showcased in that guide as well. Make sure you like the button and like the button. You should like the button, but hit the like button as well. And then after that, subscribe for more content. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Till then, stay safe and keep rocking.